Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here in the Godly Trading afternoon live trading session. By the way, speaking of, fantastic. Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate that. Everyone loves to see some visual aids while we're talking. Speaking of live trading session, the wheels are in motion for a morning live trading room. It'll probably be pre-market open. But anyhow, today I wanted to talk about, I wanted to go back into and explain in further detail the two main strategies that we've been talking about all week long, in fact, all month long, which is Frank and Forrest, and when you use one versus the other, what the difference is, and how you can use them for trading the daily chart or for day trading, swing trading, day trading, 5 minute candle, daily candle, weekly candle. My buddy Rolando trades Forrest on the weekly chart, just kills it. Talk about patience. And this ties into the verse that we read yesterday, Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1, that says, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose." You essentially look at the market, you look at the price action, and determine your purpose, determine which strategy fits you best. And let me just go ahead and show you. Speaking of visual aids, let me just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. Let me add my extra screen. It's going to be that one, y'all. Excuse me. I did not get this set up ahead of time, apparently. But there we go. So this is just the S&P. By the way, here was a good daily chart trade of Frank that worked out. This one may not have been triggered, so that's one of the benefits of Frank. And then this one absolutely would not have been triggered. But anyway, aside from showing you these examples, when you think about a trading strategy, don't just look at the indicators and do what they say. One of the things that we teach in our system is, hey, understand why it does what it does first and foremost. So every single trade out there, or with every trade, you just basically have 5 simple questions. Every trade is just 5 questions. And again, I go back to the way God created everything. It's this or that, this or that. Simple question. So question number 1 is, what is the trend? And regardless of your strategy and personality, whether you're a trend trader or a counter trend trader or a breakout trader, you still have to know what the trend is, right? Because you have to know whether to follow it as a trend trader, whether to go against it as a counter trend trader, even a breakout. You're breaking out in the direction of what? Trend, counter trend. Everything goes to what is the trend? Higher time frame trend, lower time frame. Question 1 is, what is the trend? Question 2, how do you want to participate in that price action? Am I going with it? Am I going against it? Then question 3, given the answer to question 2, am I going with or against it? Where's my entry? If I'm going with it, right, do I wait for a pullback? Do I wait for a breakout? Those kinds of things. And then the least important question, the question 4 is, where's my stop loss? And we'll get to that probably not today. I should do an entire live stream on just setting your stop loss. Risk management is the key. If anybody has seen the video from Flat Earth Trading Society, you know what I'm talking about. Risk management is key. The least important question is take profit. But anyway, let me just show you between these two strategies, Forrest and Frank, how they deal with trend. I am a trend trader, and I personally believe that the higher in time frame you go, the more you need to go with trend, because that's what the entire world is moving. That's what a trend is. Everybody is collectively together, from BlackRock to the Bank of England, pushing price in a direction. And do you, with your little, $10,000, $100,000 account, want to go up against BlackRock and the Bank of England? No. So the higher you go in time frame, the more you should consider going with the trend as opposed to against it. Lower time frames, it's more about momentum than trend. But anyway, so let's just, for the sake of argument, use something like this, right? Price doesn't move in a straight line. Obviously, price moves in waves. We have this one, price going up and going like this. So what we have here is, let me move this out of the way so we can see it more clearly. What we have here is a price action that looks kind of like this. It goes down and up and down and up. And you think, all right, well, there's your trend. The trend's up. Fantastic. How do I want to participate in this trend? And we have these two strategies that do different things. So number 1, you could say, I'm going to wait price is at its at probably not a good idea. It's like buying something, um, playing full retail as opposed to waiting for it to go on sale. Now, I'll get to that in just a second, but essentially, the two different strategies, Forrest and Frank, are trend trading strategies that get in on some form of a pullback. Forrest waits for price to pull back to a certain point. Forrest gets in here, or I honestly, Forrest tries to pick the bottom, catch a falling knife is the way people describe that, or gets in, I would say, close to the bottom. Frank waits for price to pull back and then start to go back in the original direction of the trend and get in. And then Bob, my other strategy, the whole thing to be over with and get in on the breakout. Right? It's called Bob, BO for breakout. So those are the three ways you can get in and the three places. And each one has its own pros and cons. So the benefit of Forrest is you're not going to miss the trade because you're getting in down here as it's pulling back. But the main downside to Forrest is, when is it a pullback, right? And when is it a trend reversal and price is just heading down and there's nothing you can do about it? Now you're in it the wrong way. That's the downside to Forrest. But it is so dead simple. Frank says, hey, we were in a pullback and either price went sideways, and now we're waiting on that one momentum candle. That's what a engulfing candle is. It's that one momentum candle that says, hey, price was sort of chugging along sideways or going down, and boom, we had this massive candle that engulfed everything else. We're still on a pullback because the moving average, right? So we're going to have this green whole moving average like this. The moving average is still pointing up. So we know we're going long. We're still under it, which means we're still getting in on a good price. But we're waiting on that one green candle right there that just completely chews up all of the sellers and causes all of them to capitulate. And the icing on the cake is we don't even bother getting in on that trade unless the buyers continue their momentum. So that's the beauty of Frank. Frank gives you one extra level of confirmation. The downside is you're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same deal, the same discount, the same on sale that you are when you're trading Forrest. So it all comes down to you and how do you want to trade it. So let's just take a look at some of these examples. Let me get rid of these, and let's just look at the S&P here. And then, by the way, I'm going to show you my trades from this morning. I used Frank for the S&P trade and a NASDAQ trade this morning, pre-market open. Right, I trade prop firm that's basically a CFD. It's basically it's like a Forex product for the NQ and for the ES. So it's NDX and SP 500. So I was trading prior to market open, which is generally like when I like to get in and get out and be out before the market opens. I'll show you those trades here in just a minute. But what we have here is Frank. So let me show you here on Verizon. This is a trade that I'm in right now. So let's just analyze this on the Frank strategy. I do not know why my indicator did not put us a candle here. It could not put a signal here, but there is one. So think about what we've got here. We had price was coming down, going up, coming down, and then went up. And then it kind of went sideways. And you don't have to have a pullback in order for price to get below your moving average. It can simply go sideways, and then your moving average catches up to it, which is what happened in this case. Price came up and went sideways, and the moving average went above it. So now we know, hey, all things being equal, we're below the moving average, so we're getting in at a pretty good price. And then we had this candle here. Let me zoom in on it without drawing a line. Here we go. So we had this complete, it's a doji, what they call it. We had this candle here that just basically had no direction. Price was moving down, moved up a good bit, and then went dead sideways. And then we had this massive buying candle. This is a momentum candle. This is what Frank wants. Frank says, okay, we weren't going much of anywhere, or maybe we were even going against what the overall trend is. But now, today, this candle right here, buyers have gotten a shot of adrenaline and they are taking control. And so that's what Frank gives you. It's momentum confirmation to a trade. Um, so it is essentially part pullback, part breakout, kind of a hybrid in that regard. Let me see if I can get rid of those. I'll show you what this will look like on Forrest. All right. Save that on Frank, switch over to Forrest, go back to Verizon, and now let's take a look. Sorry about that. So right now, Forrest says, hey, price is going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And I am not getting in until I get a pullback. So Forrest is like this, or here's price. I want price to come down and touch that 30-period moving average, and then I'll get in. I'll wait until this thing goes on sale. Let's just quickly scroll through and see if we can find something. I'm just going to use the stocks because that's where I am. Let's see if we can find. Well, here's a prime example. This is Visa. So Visa was coming. The price came down like this way, and it came down again. And we put in some new lows. Hey, we got a downtrend. We're putting in lower lows. It's the classic definition of a downtrend. And then we had this bounce. We had a pullback to the moving average, and there's your entry. And then the idea is, if this is in fact just a pullback and not a trend reversal, the price is we got in at a really good price. The price is going to come back down, and there's our take profit down there. Frank would wait for this to do that, and then you would have a big momentum candle down, and that's where you get in. So you're going to lose a little bit of that. They are both made simple strategies. Frank is the simpler of the two when it comes to figuring out and learning. And the only reason I lean a little bit more in that direction is because it's just one moving average and an candle. The only reason I prefer to teach Forrest is because I can teach you how to trade this without knowing anything, right? For Frank, you have to know what an engulfing candle is. For Forrest, I was teaching the IT department how to trade this thing. I said, look, red dot, blue line, blue dot, blue line. That's all you got to learn. When you get a new blue dot, enter your trade in the blue line, and your exit is the red dot. We got a brand new red dot, so enter at the blue line. Your exit, your take profit is at the opposite blue. You can trade it just off of graphical references. You don't have to know what you're doing here. So let me show you this morning 2 separate trades I took. I took a gold trade yesterday, and it was a 15-minute, maybe 30-minute chart trade. So was it a day trade or swing trade? It doesn't matter. I set the trade up, and however long it took to do what it's going to do, I just wait for it to do what it's going to do. And it actually, yesterday's day trade and today's day trade both exited. So I made 1% from yesterday and 1% from today. So it was 2% day overall on my day trading account. Let me show you that. So this is my Forex platform. This is MT5. I love MT5 mainly for its automations. You can code things here and you can test them so easily. I love MT5. It's the most popular program on the planet Earth when it comes to trading Forex. But let me just show you where we were this morning. So I said I traded the S&P and the S&P and the NASDAQ. So let's look at the S&P trade. So this one was I don't know if I can zoom in. It's nowhere near as user-friendly as TradingView, by the way. And I cannot draw on the screen, I do not believe. So I'm just going to have to gesture. So there was, if you can see my screen here, there was a supply and demand zone here. Yes, I do use supply and demand on day trading, mainly because I can't help but see it. Once you learn it just returned to 345, so it just reset itself. Once you learn it, it's hard to let go. So this was a Forrest trade on the S&P from this morning. So I got in and started looking at it at about 6 a.m. this morning, Central Time. So for those of you on the West Coast, you were still asleep. And I saw that, hey, price had come up here and it had come up to an overhead supply zone. Okay. And I see it's bouncing off. It's not going anywhere. Actually, price did this prior to me looking at the chart. So, okay, well, that's the other beauty that gives you. It gives you 2 shots the same trade, 2 bites at the apple. So I missed the original entry right here. That's fine. Price came up because the 30 in this case that I'm looking to get in on is red. I think it was blue on the other chart. I should probably make those the same. So what you're seeing, just so you'll know, is the aquamarine cyan light blue. That's a 9, and that's the Forrest fast moving average. The red is the 30. The thick blue is the 50, and the magenta is 200. I don't really need those other two, to be honest. They're there, and I just never bothered to take them off. So we had our red dots that say, hey, it's your signal to start looking for a short. If you want to get in at the 30. Well, we missed the entry because I was asleep still, or I was reading my Bible at 4:30 that morning. So I come in and right about here. I say, okay, well, there's this demand zone down below it. This is the 15-minute chart. There's a demand zone there. Well, I'm not going to sell into demand right now. But we had confluence. This is what's so beautiful about a trading strategy. It's confluence. I had a demand zone down here, and I had crossing the 30 in the same spot. So when you have two different things telling you the same thing, coming at it from different directions, different math, you've got extra confirmation of what you're saying is valid. So when it finally broke through that demand zone that was there, also it broke through the 30. That was my second entry at this trade. As a matter of fact, not only was it when I got it in a slightly better price, and I had confirmation because I had missed all of the drawdown on that. So sometimes the better way to trade Forrest is wait for price to cross over the 30 and then catch it on the way back down. You can't always do that. Anyway, I did this morning. So I got in here on the breakout of that bottom of that demand zone, which also was breaking below the 30. Both of those are Forrest entries. And then I had there was a demand zone right here. That's where I put my take profit. So this one was a 1% trade. I'm sorry. NDX and S&P combined for 1% this morning. And the NDX trade, by the way, was very similar, as it, one would assume it would be. So got in about the same time on this same strategy, Forrest pullback. One could also argue that this was a hybrid Forrest Frank because I got in on a pullback as the pullback exited and I had a momentum candle. So it's almost a blend of the two. Whereas the previous day, I was in a gold trade on I think it was the 30-minute chart. And that one was, let me look at the 30-minute chart real quick to see if that in fact was where it was. That one was a Frank trade. I don't have the Frank indicator on here, but right now, but over on TradingView, I had it. So essentially, that was an engulfing candle and supply and demand right here on this candle. This candle was engulfing, so I got it breaking that one, breaking that supply and demand zone. Took it 24 hours. I had some drawdown during the course of it. The big deal. I trust the strategy. I know what it's going to do. So both of those are just trend strategies, and they either work or they don't. You set it up, you trust what you're doing, and you let it go. You don't mess with it. Don't worry about it. Shut your computer off, and yes, go to sleep with this swing trade of what could have been. I could have gotten out here, but it didn't. It missed it by just a little bit. Could have been a day trade, turned into a swing trade. Big deal. 0.5% is still half. No, this was a 1% trade on gold. So 1% still 1% regardless of. And by the way, I had a couple of positions on here. I could have taken this thing all the way down and stretched it. By the time I was looking at it, it's 2% already, right? Enough's enough. I got other things to do. So I just went ahead and closed all my positions right there. And I was done for the day at 2% on the day. Not a bad day's work for what I do, especially given how little time I spent on it. So that's the basic premise of these two strategies. They are both trend strategies that get in at different points on a pullback. And one of them says, I don't need confirmation. I'm confident in that this trend's going to pull back and then keep going. The other one says, hey, I'm going to wait till I see some momentum back in the direction, and then I'm going to get in. My Bob strategy would basically say, hey, I'm gonna do this. Price comes in, and I'm gonna wait for price to go sideways and then break out. That's why it's called Bob. It's BO. I'm gonna wait for price to come in, create a channel, and then when it breaks out of that channel, that's when it would go in. So that they're all three, and you can call them whatever you want to. You don't have to call them Frank, Forrest, and Bob. It's just at the end of the day, it's just price action. And as long as you understand that these candles represents real people making real trades all around the world for reasons, then you understand that trading is trading. It doesn't matter what strategy it is, what you call it. Doesn't matter what market it is. You can trade this on. Let me try to get rid of this so I can clean my chart up a little bit. You can trade this on stock. You can trade this on futures. You can trade this on. Well, obviously, trade stocks, you trade options. You can trade this on Forex. You can trade on the 5-minute chart. You can trade on the weekly chart. My buddy Rolando trades it on the weekly chart. Just kills it using the Forrest strategy on the weekly chart. Why is that you can have one strategy that is universal? Because at the end of the day, you're just trading price action. That's all strategies are. As all they are. It's just price action. What does your chart show you that the people around the world are trying to do right now? And whilst when it comes to our spiritual lives, enter by the narrow gate, don't go with the crowd. When it comes to trading, your best bet is to go with the crowd. When BlackRock is trying to force something to go in some direction, and hang on and make 1, 2, 3, 10%. And Isaac made like 40% today on one of his trades with options. So that's these two strategies in a nutshell. They say this when it comes to those 5 questions we talked about. What's the trend? Well, here on Visa, let's go to the S&P. What's the trend? Down. All right, that's what price is telling us. If you squint your eyes, if you turn everything off and just look at the empty chart, it's telling you price was up, it was sideways, and now it's going up. Trend is down. Okay, how do you want to participate? How do you want to make money off of that trend? I can go with it. I can go against it. I do not go against it. You can absolutely do that, right? You can go against it if you want to. I will not be showing you those strategies because they run counter to my trading DNA. I told the story about the system that I have that runs. By the way, Frank Jr. is a counter trend strategy. I don't like trading Frank Jr. very much because of that, but I'm willing to let him do a little bit. I had a strategy that was automated and making 2% a month, and I hated it because it was counter to my trading DNA. And every single one of you has trading DNA. Every single one of you has a way that you want to go and not the other way. So trend is going down. How do you want to participate? Let's go with the trend. Okay. Where are we getting in as a result? It's me. I'm waiting for price to do its thing and then pull back. I want a discount. I want to get in. I want to wait for it to be on sale. That's me. So I would get in, when price comes up, and I get in right there in front of us. But just as legitimate a way to do it would say, okay, well, price has basically put in a floor. I'm going to wait for price to come down here and show me that it's committed to going down, and then I'm getting in. That's a breakout. Or you can say, well, let me hedge my bets. Let me do both. Let price pull back a little bit and then try to, like this one right here. Perfect example of the long tail. If that long tail wasn't there, it'd be a perfect example of, hey, we had a pullback and now we have a little bit of movement back in the direction I want it to go. Now it's time to get in. So Frank, Forrest, and Bob, all in a nutshell, trade how you want. Whatever you do, test it. It doesn't matter. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, according to Hebrews 11:1. And when it comes to trading, the evidence of things not seen, that's your back testing. Go test it. I did that 2 weeks ago. I showed you Frank on Triple Qs, SPY, and Apple on the 1 hour, the daily, and the 15-minute chart. Just a quick test. I think it was, 20 trades for like 1 month, 80% win rate, 50% win rates, and then the other one was a 66% win rate. Now, do more of a quick test. But whatever you do, If you got an idea, just test it out. It's one of the things I love about using MT5 is that if you don't even have to know how to code. One of the things we do in our program, not here to sell the program, is show you how to create an automated system without needing to know how to code in the first place. And then, right, you turn the thing on, and what do I have in here? What do I have preloaded that I can show you real quick? I've got Frank loaded in here. All right, well, you hit the button and you go. This is testing it on Euro US for the 1 hour chart. Let's do it on. I'm getting totally off topic right now, and I do apologize. But just for random example, here's gold for all 25 on the 1 hour chart. You hit start, and depending on the speed of your computer, it'll take it a minute and a half. It'll take it, and it goes and it tests for you. And this is what I did. I have literally I have Forrest running on the 15-minute chart, trading nothing but gold on this same day trading account. I turn it on at like 7 o'clock at night, and then it's usually done with what it's going to do by about 5 in the morning, and then I am free to manually day trade the rest of the day. And I try not to overlap those two. And the reason I do that is because I was able to code the thing in here without even needing to know how to code, and sifted through the data. And again, without needing to know how to do that, I used the AI to help me and found a time block overnight that was successful. Real quick, I hit so 39 seconds, and Frank says on this one, it's got a $12,000 on a $100,000 account. So that's a 12.6% return for 1 year trading the 1 hour chart. And it's got a 55% win rate and only a 5% drawdown. So 12% return on one thing with a 5% drawdown, and you got a 55% win rate. All for clicking a button and letting it go. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So those are those strategies in a nutshell. If you need more explanation, if you need any help with that, I can show you where to go. Right here, I've got it fixed. So Zach, if you're watching, I've got it fixed. If you go right here to book a call, right, you can sign up for a free call, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody. It's a Zoom call. I'm happy to talk to anybody for any reason at almost any time. Whether you need to ask questions or show me something or just to talk, get something off your chest, trading related. Just click on book a call here, and you can send your information, and we'll send you the app where you can pick a time. That kind of thing. So that's it for today, guys. It's kind of a whirlwind. I think I showed you everything. We're still in 3 trades on Frank, and I'll have to show you tomorrow. I'm in like 10 trades over on Forrest, but I'm out of time for today. Half an hour is what I dedicate every day to my swing trading, and I don't want that jumping in banks and bleeding over the rest of my life. So with that, guys, I will see you all